Right. So there was a little bit of discussion around what should be the topic that we cover. So we knew that we want to do data analytics and business intelligence. And since there are so many tools available in the market, obviously all of you have worked on Excel. And even if you have not worked on it, you would have heard of Power BI and Tableau. And there are many other tools in the market. Now, the first thing to learn is that there is no one perfect tool. So it is not that if you want to pursue a career in data, you can only work on one. If you can see from my desktop at the bottom, there are several different tools that I work on. So I work on R, I work on Python, I work on JavaScript. Of course, I work on Excel and Power BI and Tableau. So this takeaway is very important. While we are going to focus on Power BI today, it is not that Power BI is the only tool that you have to learn. Is it the most important one? Probably yes, because this is very commonly used across all organizations. And definitely you will be working on it. And it's the number one tool in the market. But being number one does not mean that it is the only tool in the market, right? So just have the takeaway with you. Okay. There are not many PowerPoint slides that I want to show you since it is going to be a technical workshop. But I would still like to just give you a background of what Power BI is so that before we start working on it, we understand what it is, what is the market share, what all does it constitute. So what are the different languages that you will be learning, right? But before we do that, while Naira has given an excellent background, just so that all of you understand what I do a little better. So I work as a trainer and a consultant for different companies. So I work with some Fortune 1000 and Fortune 500 companies. What I do is very simple. I help them make better models. It could be a better financial model. It could be a better business model. It could be some data visualization. Maybe it is some automation. So they are doing some work which is taking them 25 minutes and I enable them to do it in 20 minutes like that. I have been working in Excel for over 15 years now and in Power BI for over 4 years. If you look at the sort of clients that I have, this is across multiple sectors. So I work with a few of the big fours. I work with some investment banking firms and all sorts of companies. So healthcare, BFSI, power and energy, media companies, right? And a lot of my work has been featured and presented in a lot of national and international portals. For example, right now we're doing some work with Economic Times, which is a research survey for healthcare brands. That's the background. So the idea of the training is to give you a hands-on preview of what Power BI can do. And a few of the examples all of you will be doing with me. So let me just write this down here. So I hope that I have that right. So while it is a hands-on training, you have to keep in mind that these workshops can be quite lengthy. For example, only yesterday in the night, I sent an outline to an investment firm called D. Shaw. And if you look at the revised outline that I've sent to them, for an intermediate level Power BI, you notice it is 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. It is 18 hours of Power BI just for intermediate. And then there is another 18 hours for advanced. So we are covering Power BI in 36 hours of training. And these are for people with 10, 15 years of experience. So what I'm trying to tell you is that Power BI is a very wide tool. Today, by the end of the day, what is the key takeaway that you have? That is very important because the expectation setting has to be very clear. So you will become aware of what is Power BI and the different components, but you have to practice a lot, right? And Power BI is like an ocean, which means that new features get added nearly every week, right? Sometimes multiple times in a week. So just keep this in mind. Power BI is not like learning a tool where you say, okay, I will spend 2 days or 2 months and I will learn it completely. No. Power BI will keep on getting updated every week. So there will be new features that will be launched. And no one knows everything. Just keep this in mind. There is no Power BI developer in the world who knows everything in Power BI because it's such a wide tool. So be focused on what you're learning and increasing the learning rather than thinking, oh my God, when am I going to become an expert at it? There are very few experts on Power BI, right? Because the tool keeps on expanding. Okay, so before we start with the example, a quick background of what Power BI is. I will send you this presentation as well, so you can have a look at it later in detail. It's a business intelligence tool. That is where the name comes from, BI. It is very new. It launched in August 2015. And as you can see, it is used by 97% of the Fortune 500 companies. Power BI is available on mobile. It is available on the internet, on the cloud, and it is also available as an application, right? And if you look at the Gartner Magic Quadrant, this tells you that Power BI is the #1 tool in the market for business intelligence, followed by other tools like Google Data Studio. We have SAS, we have SAS, we have IBM Cognos, we have Tableau, Qlik, ThoughtSpot, right? So this presentation will give you an idea of what Power BI is and what are the different components, what is the pricing. I'm not taking you through all this now because I can send it to you later, but definitely have a look at it, because at least by reading it, you will become aware of the different terminologies. For example, you will know that, oh, there is something called Power Query. There is something called data analysis expressions, right? There are models that you can create, and there are AI powered analytics like that. Okay. We're going to start with the problem statement that I had shared with you. I hope all of you have managed to download the files and the software as well. You have the files and you have downloaded the software, right? Any issue with the software? I understand that some of you were not able to log in because it does not accept a Gmail account. So I will discuss that as well. But otherwise, I hope the software is working. You have? Excellent. I would request everyone to please open Power BI. So just open the application. And there is a sign in button in the top right corner. And the sign in will only work with a corporate account or a college account, which means that you can't use your personal Gmail and Yahoo and all that for it. That's okay. As you can see, I've signed in with my corporate account here, hpadconsulting.onmicrosoft.com. Now you will have to sign in to access a few features, but 90% of what we do will work even without signing in, right? So those examples I will not be able to cover, which is how do you sign in, because you will have to sign in with a corporate account. Now, how do you get one? I don't know. Maybe when you start working, of course, you will get a corporate account. Or perhaps you can just request a family member or something to just create an account for you, which doesn't end with at Gmail or at Yahoo, right? That is the only way to go about it. But Power BI is an enterprise tool. So that's the reason they have not allowed people to create an account using their Gmail account, right? Okay. Now, when you look at Power BI, you notice that we have this interface, which is a little bit like Excel, a little bit like PowerPoint, but it is also very different. This part is very important. So I'll just write down these things as well. Power BI is not the same as Excel and PPT, right? Think of this as a completely new application. Even though it is a Microsoft tool, it is not the same. That is why the shortcuts might be different. The placement of different objects might be different. How you're used to working on Excel and PowerPoint, it might not work the same way on Power BI. In fact, I would say that there is very little that is common. Think of this as learning a completely new tool. Right? So before we take our data to Power BI and we start to make some visualizations, it is very important for us to see what the data is, right, that we are working with. This is the file that I had shared with you, which is the Global Superstore Orders 2016, this one, right? I don't want you to open it. I will open it for you, and I just want you to look at it. You can go back and practice this a lot. For now, just understand the data. I have a sheet called orders. And this is a fairly large data set, and in orders compact is the same data, but I have reduced the number of columns, right? So we will work on orders compact. How many columns do we have? We have 15 columns, and we have about 50,000 records. So it's a fairly large sized data set. And what is the data about? Before I take you column by column, the data is in one paragraph. The data is about a company that is selling multiple products across the world in 165 countries. And the data is for 4 years. And there are multiple business segments: consumer, corporate, home office. There are different categories and subcategories. So now if I take you through the data, you can see that we have 4 years, 12, 13, 14, 15. We have 5 shipping dates, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. The customer name, there are hundreds of customers. We have the market, we have the region, we have the country, we have the state, we have the city. For example, the market is Asia Pacific, the region is South Asia, the country is India, the state is UP, and the cities are something else, right? So if I can just give you an example, here we have 5 markets with us: Africa, Asia Pacific, Europe, Latin America, and United States and Canada, North America. So if I select Asia Pacific, I can now select South Asia. In South Asia, I can select India. Then we have anyone, that's Bihar. And then we have different cities in Bihar, right? So these are geographic data points that we have: city, state, country, region, and market, right? After that, we have the category, subcategory, and the business segment, which is again very simple. There are 3 business segments: consumer, corporate, home office. So the company is selling directly to consumers. It is selling to corporate clients. It is also selling to small offices, home offices. In category, we have 3 categories: furniture, office supplies, and technology. So technology would be phones, copiers, printers. Office supplies would be art, binders, supplies, right? And furniture would be tables, chairs, and so on and so forth. These are the subcategories that we have. There are 17 of them. And finally, we have the sales quantity, the discount, and the profit, right? So before we take this data to Power BI, is there any question about the data, anybody? Because we will be spending a lot of time on this. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. All good? All right. This part is very important before you start working with Power BI, because if you don't even understand your data very well, then you will obviously not be able to analyze it, right? And create a model and all of that. Great. Let's come back to Power BI. And what we want to do here is to take the data from the Excel file and bring it to Power BI. And how many different types of files can Power BI connect to? If I click on Get Data, you will see we have Excel, we have Power BI files, obviously. We have SQL Server Analysis Services, text, CSV, web, and so on and so forth. And if you want to see a complete list of all of these different types of data sources, you can click on More. And here you will see that we have about 100 different types of sources available to which Power BI can connect. So in file, we have Excel, text, CSV, XML, JSON folder. Then we have different types of databases. Then we have the Microsoft Power Platform. We have Microsoft Cloud, which is called Azure, just like you have Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud. Then you have different online services, which include Salesforce, Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, Microsoft Dynamics, SharePoint. And then you have some random sources as well. So you can even connect to Python and R. If you're a programmer, you can even connect to Python and R scripts directly from Power BI, right? Okay. In our case, it's very simple. We just want to click on Excel and click on Connect. And I will select my folder and make sure to select the same file, which is the Global Superstore Orders 2016. Right? Please do this. Go to Excel and select this. The moment you click on the Excel and you press open, Power BI is going to connect to the Excel file and it is going to show you a list of all the tables and all the sheets that are available in that Excel file. So right now we have two sheets. We have already seen this. One is orders. The other is orders compact. One is table 1, which is the large data, and one is table 30, which is the slightly smaller data. Right now, we only want to select one table, which is table 30, this one. So if you wanted to, you could have selected multiple tables and sheets as well, if you want to, like this. But we don't need that. We just need to connect to a single table right now. And once you do that, once you click on the table, just click on load. And the first time it might take a few seconds, 10, 15, 20 seconds, because you're loading the data for the first time. Subsequently, it will become much faster, right? So if all of you can see this on the right side, we have a list of all the columns coming from the data set. So we have category, city, country, customer name. This is all sorted alphabetically, right? Order date is the date, ship date is the date, sales, quantity, profit, and discount are numbers, right? Like this. Just let me know if anybody had any trouble reaching this point. All good? No. Okay. All right. Now, what I would like you to do is we have to enable some additional features. But to be able to do that, we first have to save the file. So before doing anything else, click on File and Save As. And just save it on the desktop. I'm also doing the same thing. Let's just call it Power BI March 24th. Call it whatever you want. Just save the file on the desktop. Power BI March 24th. There is only one file type, which is PBIX, which is a Power BI file. Right? And save it. Okay. Now that the file is saved, we have to enable some additional features. And to do that, we have to go to preview features. It's only a one-time thing, but you have to do that. So click on File and go to Options and Settings. Go to File, select Options and Settings, and then once again click on Options. And here you will notice there is an option called preview features. So what I would like all of you to do is, after you've selected preview features, please select every single preview feature that you see here. We'll not be using all of them, but it's good to select all of them, right? Just one by one, tick on everything. And then you will have to restart Power BI. So once you press OK, close the file and reopen the file so that the preview features have got activated. So file options, preview features, select every single one, press OK, and make sure to restart Power BI. Just close it and reopen the same file because otherwise the preview features will not get activated. Right, everyone? And once you have selected preview, closed it and reopened it, now we can start building our visualizations, right? So in this example, for about 30-45 minutes, we'll focus on learning how to create a dashboard and using some AI features. Data modeling, we will have to do in the next example because this example is very simple. We only have a single data. In the next example, we will have multiple files. So we will learn how to create a model, right? All right, so we are working on page number 1 right now, and we have to build our first visual. So what I would like you to do is to select this one. It's called the Q&A. I just highlight it. It's called the Q&A. And when you click on the Q&A, just make this a little larger and you can close the filter pane like this. The Q&A is an AI feature, which means that you can ask questions, right? And it will automatically give you the answers. For example, let us say that we want to find out what is the number of subcategories that I have. So I can just type number of subcategory, and it will tell me that we have 17 unique subcategories. It's very simple, right? So if I say number of countries, obviously it will tell me we have 165 countries, something I told you earlier, right? And if I say number of customer name, it tells me we have 796 unique customers. So this is very helpful, isn't it? But what if we want to find out the number of country, okay, please watch, by market. So now very smartly, it is telling us that we have 50 countries in Africa, 47 in APAC, 37 in Europe, 29 LATAM, and North America is 2, US and Canada, right? Just try this, please, with me. All right, thank you, Ayushi. Janvi, is it working now? So I selected the Q&A, this one, and all I did was I typed this number of country by market. But let's ask something much more detailed, right? Like this is a very simple question. What if I say number of country and I change that into show me all my countries. So it gives you a list of all the countries, correct? And then I'm saying, show me all my countries. Okay, watch. By sales. So very smartly, it is automatically making a bar chart for you. So it's saying US is the largest at 22 lakh 97,000, Australia is 9 lakh 25, and so on and so forth. But I want to see the countries only in Africa. So I will say only for Africa. Right? And now you notice it is smart enough to filter the data to only show you the countries for Africa. And if you say as map, it will make a map for you. Right? Please try this. So show me all my countries by sales, but only for Africa as a map. Is it working for everyone? All good? All right. Thank you, Ria, Deepika. Now, the best way to present a dashboard is not to select Africa, because how does the user change the region the market every time? So what we do is we'll remove Africa from here. So I'll say, show me all my countries by sales as a map. So it shows me the entire world, right? Let it be like that. Don't change it. Just click outside. Just click outside. And I want you to select a slicer, this one. Right? Make sure to click outside, okay? Don't select this. First click outside and then click on the slicer. And I hope all of you can guess what we're going to keep in the slicer now. In the slicer, we're going to keep our market. Just drag and drop. So it will give you Africa, APAC, Europe, LATAM, United States. And the best part is that both of these are automatically connected to each other. So if I select Africa or Asia Pacific, do you see how the map is also changing? Ayushi, which step are you referring to? So this is the slicer that I have created. I'll just highlight everything for you. So I've created a slicer, right? And in the slicer, we have kept our market, right? Right, everyone? So we have created a slicer, and as you can see, these are automatically connected to each other. So I just have to select this and it works. Right? Now see, sometimes the mapping might not be correct, but that is to do with the data. Like right now, if you notice in Latin America and in Europe, everything is working correctly, right? And we all know that Russia essentially falls under Eurasia. So where you have mapped it is a different thing, right? We'll not get into that. Okay. This is how simply you can ask questions from your data. So let's just make one more page and let's ask another question. Everybody just make another page and let's ask one other question. Again, we go to Q&A and this time we will say, show me top 5 customer name Okay, for India in the consumer segment for each order year, right? So what is it? In fact, this last part you can remove. Let's keep it like this. So what are you doing? You're saying that, and let's say as a pie chart. So we're saying, show me the top 5 customer name and by profit, for example, right? So it's telling me that the customer with the highest profit in India in the consumer segment is Cynthia, who has earned a profit of 3,900, right? And so on and so forth. And the best part is it's so easy to change. If you want to make it 15, just make it 15, make it 3, and the entire result will change, right? So the advantage of Power BI is that it's an intelligence tool. It creates these beautiful charts. And the best part is that it's so easy to ask these questions. It saves you a lot of time. And it also makes it very easy to modify the results in the future. Like, let's say I wanted to suddenly see who are the bottom 5. I can just say bottom 5. And now it does the opposite. It tells me who the bottom 5 are, right? Which are all in negative, obviously. Right? Any questions? All good? All right. See, we can spend 3 hours having fun with this, but that's not the idea, right? Like I said in the beginning, the idea is for me to tell you how it works. And then you can go back and practice this and search on YouTube and read some articles and all that. Right? Great. Let's make one more page, please. And let's do something different now. Please make one more page. And this time I want you to make a column chart, right? The second one, which is a stack column chart, like this. And what should we keep in the column chart? We will keep our order, date, and sales amount. Order date and sales amount. Right? And once you made it, my question is, we know that from 2014 to 2015, there was a growth that happened. It's very clear. From 34 lakhs, we became 42 lakhs, right? The first thing I want to find out is, what is the growth? Like, is it, so I can say roughly that we have grown by about 8 lakhs. So I would say 8 lakhs is about 26, 27%, right? But then how do you get that exact number? That's the first thing. The second thing is, can you say that every country has grown from 14 to 15? What do you think? Because there has been such a nice growth. Can you say with confidence that every country has grown? Not really. So, Deepika, not really, because one might assume that yes, if the business has grown so well, one would assume the hypothesis is that every country has grown. But there is no guarantee, right? And this is the type of analysis that you want to do. In Excel, mostly we miss out on these things. Nobody bothers. We don't have the ability or the time to check these things. And this time what we're going to do is, I want Power BI to use its own artificial intelligence to detect if all the countries have actually grown or not. Let's say that's my hypothesis, that I assume that every country has grown, but I want to check that. How will we do it? Please right click on 15, everybody. Right click on 2015. And here you have to select analyze, because that's what we want to do, right? We want to analyze if there is a growth or a degrowth. And if it's a growth, what is the reason behind the growth? So we say analyze the increase. How does it know that it's an increase? This is all automatic, right? So it is automatically detected that there was a growth from 14 to 15, an increase. Now this is beautiful. Watch this. The moment I click on this button, Power BI is detecting different patterns in the data. So it's telling me that, Havish, this is what we found. There was a 26% increase in sales from 14 to 15, obviously. And if I scroll down, do you see this, everybody? Sales by year and country. How cool is that? It is telling me that United States, France, and United Kingdom had the largest increase among the countries. But this is not exactly what we wanted, right? So when I click on this scatter chart, the second one, how cool is that? It's automatically telling me which countries have shown a bigger growth, which countries have shown a smaller growth, like this. For example, if you look at Turkey, from 30, it only became 33, like this. If you look at Vietnam, Vietnam actually decreased. Vietnam was 19,000 in 2014, but it became 18,000 in 2015. Just make sure to select this, please. I'll do it once again. Right click, analyze, explain the increase. Then you have to scroll down and we want to select the year and the country, which is this one, year and country. And we have this scatter chart here. You also have other types of visuals, but that would probably not be very appropriate here. So I would ask you to select the scatter chart, this one. Right? And how do you insert it? Just click on the plus sign, this one, add to page. And this new visual will automatically get added to your report. So let me make this a little smaller because we don't really need it to be so large. This one we can keep here, right? And remember earlier I had told you about the slicer. So let's select the slicer and put the market in it. This way what will happen, I can click on any market to see. For example, in the United States, what about Canada? From 19,000, it only became 23. So there was a very small growth. But if you look at US, from 6, it became 7.3 lakhs, a huge growth. Again, if you look at Asia Pacific, you can see that in Asia Pacific, Australia, amazing growth, 2.68 to 3.14. Indonesia again had a growth, but there were certain countries that did not show a growth, like 40, 38, 20, 25 is okay, 12, 5. Singapore, from 12,000, it became 5,600. Right? Just try this, please. Again, let me remind you, the purpose of showing you these examples is not to tell you that we always do this. Power BI has 1,000 different features in it. I'm just showing you 2-3 features to give you a sense of what the tool is capable of. After this, of course, you will have to learn and practice and try different examples. But imagine if you had to do all this on Excel. Can you imagine how much time it would have taken you? Let's say I have this Excel file with me. There is nothing wrong with the data. It's a very nice, clean data set. I ask you, can you tell me from 14 to 15, what was the growth and which countries showed a growth and which countries did not show a growth? It's not that you can't, you can always write formulas and make a pivot, but it will take a lot of time, will it not? Plus, visually, it will not look that good. I mean, in Power BI, we can literally do this in 3 minutes. Right? And here's the best part. You can also apply another slicer. So I just copy and paste this. And in this slicer, I will remove my market and I'll keep my business segment. Okay. So I can also go segment by segment to see for each segment, what is the pattern. How cool is that? Just see how nice this looks and how important this information is, right? Like immediately you would notice that in the consumer segment, US was 2.96, 3.32. In corporate, the growth was a little lesser, 2.06, 2.42. But in home office, it was a lot. From 1.05, it became 1.59. I mean, basically, it was like a 55% growth that we showed. Right? Okay. Now, since we are working on visuals, but we also have to focus on the data cleaning and the data wrangling part, I have a simple question for you. Are sales higher on weekend or higher on weekday? Right? I'm just writing this question on another page. So insert text box and I'm saying, are sales higher on weekday or weekend? Do you think it is a relevant question? Is it important for a business to know whether sales are higher on a weekday or a weekend? Absolutely right. Like this is very important because like I went to the mall yesterday and it seemed like the mall had shut down. You go on a working day and obviously the footfall is very, very low. So from a business perspective, it is very important because it enables you to understand when are customers coming more frequently, which days are the purchase amount higher. That way you can plan your marketing, store activations, right? There are so many other factors that go into this, right? Both from a marketing, sales, operations, supply chain perspective, right? It's not just about one function. Finance also is very curious to know on which days the sales higher, right? And why is finance concerned about it? Because there is an overhead. You're still spending some amount to run the outlet, but if you're not getting a lot of footfall that day, that is a fixed cost that you're paying for electricity and the lights and whatever that basically is going down the drain, right? So it's a very important question. We all know that. But the thing is, how do we know the weekday and the weekend? To do this, now we have to come to some data wrangling. And to do this, please click on home and select transform data. Everyone, home and then transform data. So when you click on transform data, there is a new window that opens up. And this window is called a Power Query Editor. Right, everybody? It's called the Power Query Editor. And what is this? This is a window that will allow you to do data wrangling and data prepping, right? So just quickly sharing the website with you. So we have Power Query, Microsoft. Don't open it right now. I'll share the link with you. This is not the correct link. Hold on. That's strange. I can't seem to find the right page. No problem. 1 second. The problem is that Power Query has so many different pages on Microsoft. I'm not able to find the correct one, but I'll find it obviously. Just give me, yeah, this one, right? So powerquery.microsoft.com. I just saved the link on the same notepad so I can share it with you, right? What is Power Query? Power Query is a data prepping tool which allows you to essentially clean, extract, connect, combine your data, right? Now, why do we need Power Query when we already have Excel with us? Remember, Excel also has Power Query. This part is very important. A lot of people do not know this. In the data group, right, in Excel, do you see this? Power Query editor. So Excel also has Power Query. The same Power Query which is there in Power BI is also there in Excel. So whatever I'm teaching you right now, you can either do it in Power BI or if you want to, you can do it in Excel as well, right? So I'll just write down this point. Power Query is the same, okay? Absolutely the same on Excel and Power BI. Just keep this in mind. So whatever you can do on Power BI, ditto, not even a 1% difference. Every single thing you can do the same way on Excel as well. Right? Just keep this in mind. Okay, let's come back to the website. So as you can see, Power Query is a data connectivity and a preparation tool. It allows you to connect to hundreds of data sources, including web. Just mute everyone. Okay, so you can connect to hundreds of different data sources. You can have more than 300 different types of transformations available. And the best part is no coding. Amazing, right? Like usually when we do Python, in Python, we have a library called Pandas. Maybe you guys have heard of it. Panda is a library in Python, which allows you to do what we are doing on Power Query or Excel, right? Things like pivoting, grouping, SUMIF, merge, VLOOKUP, all of that. Then you also have something called NumPy, which is again a numerical library that allows you to find length, text, things like that. So what we are doing on Excel, we can do on Python using NumPy and Pandas. Right? And these are two of the most common libraries in Python. In fact, this is one of the first things that we work with when we work on Python, right? And these concepts are there in every tool. So there is a tool called Nine, which is a complete data science tool. It's an open source tool, free of cost, which allows you to do AI and ML. This also has its own libraries, which are called nodes, which allow you to do the same thing, right? The fact of the matter is, Power Query is not the only tool in the market. Try to understand that. It's not that, oh, this offers you something which other tools cannot do. Other tools can also do the same thing. But Power Query has been built specifically for data cleaning. That's all. That's why it is so powerful at it, right? And you can just go through the website and you can see it works on Power BI, Excel, CDS. These are all not relevant for you, right? But definitely have a look at the website. Okay, coming back. We have the Power Query window. And the first thing that I would like everybody to do is to enable the formula bar. I'm assuming that you can't see it right now. If you can see it, well and good. If you cannot see it, please click on view. Everyone, please click on view and select the formula bar like this. View and then formula bar. Let's understand the interface before we start working on it. At the top, we have a ribbon, which is like this. So we have a lot of commands written here. So we have home, transform, add column, tools, and help, right? Then we have queries. So there can be multiple queries in Power BI. This is where we have our data. Above that, we have the formula bar similar to Excel. And then on the right side, we have something called applied steps like this, right? So let me take you through it once again. So what all do we have with us? We have the ribbon, right? We have our queries. We have the formula bar. This is where we store our data, and this is the applied steps like this. I hope everything is clear. It's not difficult. Like the interface is very simple, and there is nothing over this. Like whatever it is, I'm showing it to you, right? Now, you notice that there are 3 steps that have been saved on the right side. What is the first step? It is called source. Second, it is called navigation. And the third is called changed time. Can somebody tell me what is the first step doing? If you click on the first step, what is it doing? Anyone? You can even unmute yourself if you want to. I'm okay with that. It is connected to the source from where the data is extracted, but something more. If you notice, it is going to the Excel workbook, and it is not just connecting to it. It is giving me a list of all the file content. So what all do we have in that data? We remember had 2 sheets, orders and orders compact, and we also have 2 tables, table 1 and table 30. So this is what it is doing. It is able to show us all the entities. And there are 2 types of sheets and there are 2 types of table. Makes sense, right? But we wanted only one table, which was table 13, remember? So in the navigation, you notice that we are only selecting table 13. That means in the first step, we had all the different tables and the sheets, but we only wanted to select one table called table 30. And then in the final step, see right now in the second step, you notice that each column is ABC 1 to 3, ABC 1 to 3, ABC 1 to 3. Any guesses what that means? What is ABC 1 to 3? Anyone?
It is in alphabetical order.
I'm sorry, your voice is breaking a little bit. Can you just repeat that?
It is in alphabetical order.
ABC 1 to 3, everybody, means that it is an undefined data type. Okay. So Power Query right now does not know whether it's a date or a number or a text or anything else, correct? But you notice that I can change all the data types like this. So I can make it a date, date time, time, and different types. But did we have to do that? Absolutely not. Because it applied a step automatically, and you notice it detected the correct data type. So it knows that order date is a date, ship date is a date, customer name is a text, and if you go to the end, profit, discount, quantity, and sales are decimal numbers. And this is the step. It did table.transform column types, which means it is assigning the correct type of data type to each column. And we did not have to do it. All of this is working automatically. So it automatically detected that order date is a date, ship date is a date, customer name is a text, and then sales quantity, discount and profit are numbers like this. Now, should we learn these 3 steps? Not really. Why should you? Because these 3 steps were applied automatically, correct? We did not do anything. We just connected to our Excel file and the 3 steps were automatically recorded. But it is also important to make sure that you at least understand how it is working, right? Because if you completely ignore the formula bar, then you will never learn how Power Query works at the backend. You will never become an advanced user. So my suggestion is please open the formula bar. You will not understand it 100%, but then over a period of time, if you keep on practicing, it will start to make much more sense, right? And all these things have been explained in the Power Query website, right? Great. Any questions, anyone so far? What do you think? Do you think that the automatic detection can be wrong? Absolutely. For example, if I have student IDs or if I have employee IDs, which is 10145, Power Query will think that it's a number because it looks like a number, but we know it is a text because a ID is never a number, no? Like you don't add up the employee ID or the student ID for different people. So yes, it is possible that it will get it wrong, but even if it gets it wrong, that's okay. You can change it manually later. At least when you have 50 columns with you, you don't have to go one by one. About 70, 80, 90% of the work, it will do for you automatically, right? But yeah, I mean, when we work, we usually keep an eye and make sure that we have done this correctly, right? Okay. So what was the question? If anybody remembers, my question was, we wanted to see the day, right? Let's see how we do that. Please select the order date, everybody. Everyone, please select the order date. And go to add column. Go to add column. And then select date. So order date, add column, and then the date. And here you want to select day and the name of day, right? Right? If you notice in one click, name of day, it will automatically tell you the day name. So there is a new column that is created, which has the day name in it. Very cool, right? Any questions, anyone? All good? Now, we know it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday to Friday, but we only want two results, right? We want weekday or weekend. How do we do that? Go to add column and select conditional column, this one. Add column and then conditional column. And conditional column is like an if statement. What it means is it should be fairly simple. We are saying that the new column name is called the day type, right? If my new column that I created called day name is equal to what? If it is equal to Saturday, then the output should be weekend. I will add a clause. I will say if the day name is equal to Sunday, then it should be weekend. And otherwise, it should be weekday. Just try this. So press OK and you notice very nicely. Now we have said that Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, all of these will be weekdays. And when we get a Sunday, it will be a weekend like this. Saturday will also be a weekend. This is how you do data wrangling. This is how you prep data, right? So what we do is we essentially keep on adding steps one by one. And like you see these 5 steps, I can show you my own projects where sometimes there'll be 150 steps because there is so much data cleaning that is required, right? Right, everyone? Any questions?
So I want to ask one question. If we want to get all the data of weekends only or the weekdays, how can we do that?
See, what we'll do is on home, first we will do close and apply. Okay. So that whatever changes we have made to Power Query, the changes will become confirmed, right? Please do this. Home and then close and apply. And what is happening? After you made these changes, the data is being sent back to Power BI. So now you notice you have this new column called day type and day name. Now it's simple. Are the sales higher on weekday or weekend? How do you know that? I will just make a column chart. In the column chart, we will say order date, right? Then we will put our sales and we will also select our day type and I'll put it in the legend. And with your permission, I'm just going to change this to a slightly different chart. Let's change it to a 100% stack column chart, this one. So now what is it doing? It is telling us that for 2012, 28% sales came on weekend, 28, 27 and 27. So we notice that the number is more or less the same. But if we make a slicer for our market, would you expect that each market would behave similarly? Maybe not. Let's verify that. Maybe it will, maybe it might not, right? That's what we want to verify. So I'm just taking my slicer here. We've already done these things earlier. Now you notice for each market, do you see how the proportion is changing a little bit? Not a lot, but a little bit, right? And just like that, if you keep a slicer for your segment as well, even for your segments, you can see, does it hold true for all the business segments or not? So I can see here that for consumer segment, corporate and home office, the numbers change a little bit. And this is very important for a business, right? Because these minor changes have a big impact on the way they operate. See how the numbers are changing. Take your time, just try this out and let me know if you have any questions. I'll just tell you what I have created. So we have made this chart. I'm sorry, I'm not able to select it for some reason. One second. My tool is not working. Let me just close Epic Pen and try to restart it. And it seems to be okay now. Yes, so we have selected this chart. And in this chart, what all have we put? If you can see this, we have put, one second. Order date, day type, and sales value, like this. Right? And as a matter of fact, if you also want to see the data for a specific period, let's say the last 3 months or the last 6 months, I can make another slicer for my order date. See, now you know how slicers work, right? So I'm making another slicer so I can see for any period, that weekday and weekend like this. This one we can skip out. This is what I wanted to show you. So what is the final conclusion? Are sales higher on weekday or on weekend? Very clearly, you can see that yes, sales are higher on weekday. That's what we wanted to show, right? So on an average at about 27%. If you wanted to see every day, then I can remove my day type and I can put the actual day name. This will show me exactly from which day is the maximum sales coming. So if you look at Asia Pacific and you look at the consumer segment, what is it telling you? Very clearly, you can see that if you look at 2015, 18%, 18.98, 19.08, 16. So you can see that Thursday is where the maximum sales happen, 19%. And the minimum is Monday, which is only 0.96%. So you can take business decisions based on this. Like here, you notice Monday is not even there. We are not even selling on Monday. So you get the idea. This is how you can analyze your data. Any questions, anyone? Right? So if we just quickly recap what all we have done up till now, we saw that we connected to a data set. There are many data sets I can connect to. We can ask questions using Q&A. Then we can make a slicer that will allow us to filter the data. After that, we also created some more Q&As. We saw how we can right-click and analyze the data, which is very cool. And we can also do some data transformation or data wrangling, prepping, whatever you want to call it, in Power Query. And various Power Query available in transform data. Now remember everybody, I've just given you like 2-3 examples. There are 800 functions and methods available in Power Query. Do you see all these options available? Okay, so it's a lot. So what I'm trying to tell you is that this is just a very, very simple insight of what it can do. But it is amazing, right? In one click, without any formulas required. Let's say I want to make it into uppercase. Click on uppercase. 1 second. So format, uppercase, in one click, it becomes uppercase. Let us say I want to split it into first name and last name. So what do I do? Once again, I will say split by delimiter. What is my delimiter? It's a space. In one click, it will split it into first name and last name. Some people have middle name as well, right? So all of this you can try out on your own, right? Some of these things you can understand just by looking at it. Some of this you might have to go to YouTube and learn from there. But there are hundreds of videos available. Even on my YouTube channel, I have over 500 videos available, right? So I'll share all those resources with you. But I hope you have a sense of what Power Query can do. Is it Excel? Absolutely not. The functions that are available, the way the formulas are written, has nothing to do with Excel. If you notice, this is not how we write Excel formulas. In Excel, we don't write each if, we don't write then, we don't write else if. It's completely different. But remember that Power Query is a different language, but it is also available on Excel. So everything that I'm showing you right now, if I wanted to do the same thing on Excel, that would also have been possible. Okay. So we'll work on the other example now, but any questions, anyone, that you might want to ask? All good? All right. Let's close this Power BI file and make sure to save it and open a new Power BI file. Oh, there are some questions I did not notice. 1 second. Let me just see if there are any questions. Okay, all good. All right. Please open a new Power BI file, everyone. And the last topic we had to cover was the model, which also we'll focus on. Okay, so we have a new Power BI file with us. And let us first understand the problem statement. So what we have is a folder that I have shared with you called model. And in the model folder, I would like you to see what all we have here. We have sales, we have category, we have ID and name, we have target. Now, my request from all of you is not to do it, because this example is a very good example, something I do with different companies, but this is a long example. If you start practicing with me, it is going to take you at least 1 hour more, or maybe 1.5 hours to practice it properly. My request is that I have already shared the files with you. I will be sharing the session recording with you as well. And I'm sure that between the recording and the files, you'll be able to practice on your own. So please don't do it right now, because we don't have a lot of time. And in 30 minutes, I want to cover many more things, right? And now that you have understood how Power BI works, I have confidence that you will be able to do this as well, right? So again, my request, everybody, please don't do this with me. Just watch and learn and ask as many questions as you want to. Let me first explain the problem statement. Earlier, we had data for different transactions in a single file. And life was good. It was simple because there was no problem. Everything was there in one place. Yes, we had to write some formulas and make a few modifications, but that's it. This time, if you notice, we have the data that is spread across multiple files. Let's see what all we have. In the sales folder, we don't have the data for 1 year, as in we don't have the data for all the years in one file. We have 1 year in every single file. That means 2013, 14, 15, and then we also have 2016. What is the data? It's a very simple data. We have order date, ship date, shipping mode, customer ID, segment, city, state, region, subcategory, sales, quantity, profit. Almost the same as the previous one. How many rows do we have? About 1900. So now you know what it is, right? Like this, I have 4 years of sales, 13, 14, 15, 16. But you know what the problem is? The problem, everybody, is that I have the customer ID, which is DP 13,000, PO 19195, but I do not know the customer name. So I'm just writing down these problem statements for you. Sales is sales for 4 years is in 4 different files, which is a problem. If you were to do it manually, you would have opened all the files and one by one copied and pasted it, right? So the first problem is that the sales for 4 years is in 4 different files. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I don't have the customer name. So customer name is in different file. And where is that file? You notice there is a file called ID and name. So if I open that, you will see that there is a list of all the customers and the names. So DP13000 is Darren Pass. Can anybody tell me how do I get this result next to this if I wanted to? Tell me right now. So if I want to get the name of the customer, what do I write here? Which function do we use? If you had to do this on Excel, what would you do? Any guesses? Have you worked on VLOOKUP, everyone? You haven't worked on lookup? Okay, so I can see somebody said VLOOKUP, but I'll show you how it works. Okay? Just watch. Equal to VLOOKUP. What are we searching for? We are searching for DP13000, correct? So let's select this value. So far, so good. Where are we searching? We are searching in the entire column A, obviously, but the result is in column B. So I will put comma 2. So what we are doing is we are basically saying, if I can break it into 4 lines, see, this is not an Excel training. And in any case, the point of Power BI is that all of this work will not be required. Right? But I just want to show you how VLOOKUP will be written. All that we are doing is we are saying, what is D2, what we are searching for? What is column A and B, where the result is there? And which column has the result? Column number 2. Simple. Okay. Excel has over 600 functions in it, and the number keeps on getting updated. VLOOKUP is the 3rd most used function in the world. The function that is the most popular is used is sum followed by average, and the 3rd is VLOOKUP. So it's a very important function, and I've written the result here. But even if you learn it, it's still very time consuming, isn't it? You have to make a column, you have to write a formula. After that, you have to copy the formula down. And remember, you have to do this with every single file. 13, 14, 15, 16. Tomorrow you will have 17, you will again have to do the same thing. I don't like all this. I want to avoid this hassle. Same thing. I have the subcategory, but we don't know the category. That means I have another file called the category, in which we have a list of all the subcategories and all the category. But again, the data is split in 2 files. In the sales data, we only have subcategory. Here we have the category. If I ask you, if you look at the first transaction, everyone, it says DP13000, who we know as Darren Powers, purchased papers. How do we know paper falls in which category? For that, we'll have to come here and see that, okay, papers falls under office supplies, correct? Again, not very practical. Why should we need to do this manually? Now let me show you something fantastic. Watch this. Okay, my request is please don't do it. I'll explain it very well. You will have time to ask all the questions you want. Get data. But we don't want to get the data from an Excel file. Why? Because this time we have 3 Excel files. Remember, we don't have 1. We have 3 files in a folder. So I say get data and I go to more. And here we select folder. Right? In fact, you know what? I have a change of mind. Let's do it together. Now that you have understood the problem, I think we have time to complete it. Let's do it, because when you do it, you will understand it better. Even though I was originally planning not to, but let's do it together. Please open a Power BI file, everyone. Not the old one. Open a new Power BI file. And I'm going to call this the model, right? So work in progress and Rajguru, and let's call this the model. Right? Oh, it's on my desktop, right? So let's just call this model. Okay. So what do we want to do? Get data, more. Now remember, we want to get the data from a folder because there are multiple files. Very simple. What we'll do is we will go to all and we will select folder. How cool is that? There is a feature that allows you to select the data from a folder. And remember, whatever I'm showing you right now, if you wanted to, you could have done it on an Excel file as well. And I'm showing it to you on Power BI, but you can do it on Excel as well. So all and then folder and then click on OK, or rather connect. This time it is not asking you to select the file, obviously, because there is a folder with multiple files in it. That is what we want to do. We want to click on browse and make sure to select the correct folder, everyone. For me, it is Rajguru, model, sales and old. Everyone. Do not select the entire sales folder, only select the old folder. Right, everyone. So we go to get data from file from folder, select the old folder. How many files are there? There are 3 files. Okay, and okay. The first thing that Power BI will do is to confirm to you that yes, there are 3 files in that folder, 13, 14, 15. Right. And when I click on combine and transform, the very first option that you see, combine and transform, it will now confirm with you which sheet do you want from each of the files. Now see, in our case, we only have one sheet, correct? So we only select that sheet. Just click on the sheet and press OK. This is the final step. So what have we done so far? Get data, more, from folder. We selected the folder, we clicked on combine, then we selected OK. We selected the sheet, again OK, and that's it. The moment you do this, what will happen is that Power Query will open up. You might have to press Alt Tab to see Power Query. But this is fantastic, isn't it? Watch. I have a column called source.name, which is obviously a new column, everyone. And how do we know that all the 3 years have been combined? When I click on source.name, right now, it will only show you 2013, but when you click on load more, it will show you 13, 14, and 15. Which means that without having to open the files, without having to copy, paste formulas, this, that, we have managed to combine data from multiple files from a folder into a single file like this using Power Query. Any questions, anyone? 13, 14, and 15. Right. All good? All right. Let's send the data back to Power BI. We know how to do that. We click on close and apply. And the data is sent back to Power BI. Okay, now we want to make a card, which is this one. Or just make a chart, just make a column chart. And in the column chart, what we did earlier, order date and sales amount. And I hope everybody is able to see the same result. We will have three different columns with us: 13, 14, and 15. All working? And now this is beautiful, right? Like imagine how much time this will save people. I have been working as a consultant for so many years, and I have seen people in 2014, 15, 16 who used to spend so much time opening every file and then, combining and aggregating it. Now you can do that in a single click. Imagine if you have 55 files. Can you imagine how much time it will take you? But it gets even better. If I go back to the same folder, which is old, right now it has 3 years, 13, 14, 15, correct? I'm going to select 16 and put it in the same folder right in front of you. Now you notice there is 13, 14, 15, and 16. So basically I've added a file to the same folder. And all we have to do is click on refresh. Everyone, that's it. All I have to do is to click on refresh, and you notice in one click, you get 16 as well. Amazing, right? Any questions, anyone so far? All good. Now let's just complete the example. We have the sales, we have the customer ID, but we don't have the customer name, right? Because if I want to find out who my top 10 customers are, I can't, because I don't have the data here. The customer names are written in a different file altogether. So let's do that. Our customer names are written in this one. It's a different Excel file. We already have one query with us. Let it be like this. We don't need to change it. What we will do is we will go to Excel, get data from Excel. And I will select model, and I will select the ID and name like this. So this time we are selecting the ID and name, and we click on open. And obviously now we are connecting to another file. So it will again ask us, okay, Havish, which sheet do you want? There is only one sheet, which is ID and name. Does anybody see any problem with this data? comma in the name. Nandini, I would not call that a problem as such, but sure, let's say that the data is not in the correct way that we want it. Like it is showing us the surname, comma, the first name. Probably, at least in India, we usually follow first name, space, last name. Absolutely. Agreed. Any other problem that you see? Exactly. So like Asta said, we don't have the correct heading. C, ID, and name should be the proper headers. But for whatever reason, Power BI did not realize that the headers are C, ID, and name. It is building two new headers called column 1 and column 2. This is a very common issue. This will happen all the time. So what do we click on? If I click on load, what will happen? The data will get loaded as it is, but I don't like that. Obviously, right? Because I would like the data to be transformed. That's what we want to do. So I will click on transform data. Right, everyone? So we click on transform data. And here, you notice now we have two queries. We have old and we have ID and name. The very first thing that we want to do is we want to fix the headers, this column 1 and column 2. This does not look correct. We have to fix this. How do we do that? There is a button called use first row as headers. Please click on this. Use the first row as headers. The moment you click on that, you notice that CID and name will become the headers like this. Right? Very simple. But let's fix the name as well. This is very interesting. So this is a little bit of machine learning that I'm showing you, where we can train the system to understand what we want. So what are we doing? We have the surname, comma, space, and the first name. Obviously, we don't like it. We want the correct result to be Darren Paz, Filina Ober, Mick Brown, right? But here's the best part. You don't have to write any formulas, right? All you have to do is click on add column. First, select the column name. Just click on the name column. Then you go to add column, right? And then select column from example, the first one. Name, add column, and then the column from examples, right? And once we do this, you notice a new column opens up called column 1. And try to understand, this is very simple, but just try to understand what it is doing. It is telling us that, okay, Havish, we will create a new column for you, but you have to enter some sample values to create a new column. So I have to teach, that is what machine learning is, right? We have to teach Power BI what is it that we want it to do. So I want to teach it that it should be Darren Paz like this. Darren space Paz. But it doesn't understand anything. It says, please enter some more sample values. So we will again give a sample called Filina Ober, and now something amazing will happen. The moment you have given the second sample and you press enter, you will notice it will automatically give you all the results. But how did it happen? How did it know that we wanted first name space surname? We did not tell it. It has automatically built that formula. And this is how machine learning works, right? You don't have to do anything. It will automatically do it for you. Click on OK, and you will get the new name. Please try this, everyone. I'll just do it once again. So let me delete the last step. Column from examples. Let's give it 2 samples. So let's call it Darren P and then Philina O. Do you see how smart it is? This time we only selected the first name and the first letter of the surname, and it is able to detect that that is what Havish wanted, and it is only giving us these results. Okay. So any pattern that you teach it, if I tell it DP and PO, it is only giving me the initials, correct? If I say Darren PO dot, for some reason I want, for some reason I want the first name and 2 letters from the surname. It can do that also. Amazing, right? If I say Darren underscore underscore Paz, it will do the same thing for me. Absolutely fantastic. So what do we want right now? We just want Darren Paz and Philina Ober. It will give us the result. Yes, Nigda, tell me.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, a few minutes back you told how we can just add the 2016 file to the other 3 files that were already present in one folder. So we clicked on refresh and we got the results from the 2016 data as well incorporated here. So, but for that, is it necessary that the data from all the Excel files should be in the similar format, as in the columns should be in the similar format, the headings should be similar for that to happen? Is it necessary?
See, if you're working with data, it's just not about being similar. It has to be the same, because why would you have non-uniformity in your data? For example, let us say that you do some individual work. You prepare a to-do list. Do you prepare a different format every day? Of course not. If you prepare a different format every day, how will you compare it? How will you add it together, right? But yes, from a practical perspective, organizations will have certain dissimilarities in the different files, and Power Query can handle that. For example, if the order of the columns is not the same, Power Query will automatically fix it. But if the spelling of the column is different, like in one sheet it is called sales with an S at the end, and in another workbook it is called sale with SALE. Power Query will not know that sale and sales mean the same thing, right? Obviously. How does it know that they are the same thing or they are a different thing? So it will result in an error.
Yes, I was referring to the order of the columns. So that should...
Order does not matter.
Okay.
As long as the spellings are the same, orders will never matter. It will automatically put everything in the same order as the first file.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So I hope all of you have seen this step, how beautiful this is. Now, do we need the second column name, which is the old name? Not really. So let me just right click and remove it. And let's double click and call this the name. What have we done? If you go through the steps, we first added a new column. We removed the old column and we renamed the new column to name. So this is how we have fixed the name, where originally it was surname, comma, space, first name. Now we have made it first name, space, surname, right? So we are done. So we are done with this. All we have to do is close and apply. And here's the question. The question is that now I have another table with me called ID and name, if you look on the right side. But what if I want to see my top 5 customers by sales? Let's try. Let me remove this question and let me see. Top 5 customer name by sales. Why is it not working? Anyone? If I say top 5 name, okay, it's not actually called customer name. If I say top 5 name by sales, why is it showing me the same result? 22,97,200 for each customer. Any ideas? Anyone? So what is happening is that 1 second. I have to close and reopen my tool. All right. So if you notice, the name is coming from here, right? From one table, but the sales is coming from another table. Makes sense, right? See, we have two tables with us right now. We have ID and name, and we have the sales data. What we have tried to do is to pull one column from sales and one from ID and name, but Power BI does not know how they are related to each other. All we have to do is, after you ask this question, you have to go to the modeling button, the third one. Nandini, not just from different sheets, they are from different workbooks, right? So we click on the model button, everyone, the third one. And this is a lot of fun. It's very simple. We know that customer ID and customer ID are linked to each other, obviously. So what I would like you to do is to select customer ID, just drag it, click and drag it and put it on top of CID like this. And this is how everybody you create a model, which is a relationship between customer ID and CID like this. Just drag and drop. I'll do it once again. Let me first delete it. Click, drag and drop on CID like this. And now you notice your top 5 name by sales will work. How cool is that? This data, this question is being asked to how many files? Anyone? When I ask a question, how many files is Power BI referring to get me this result? Five files, right? Because we have 4 years of sales data, plus we have the customer name data. So there are 5 files that we are referring to, remember? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 13, 14, 15, 16, and we also have customer ID. And in a single question, I'm able to capture results from 5 different files without having to put the 5 different files in one place. That's the power of creating a model. Yeah, so that's all from my side. You can ask questions, whatever you have on your mind. Right, and while you're thinking of the things that you want to ask me, all these points I'm putting on the chat window, so you'll be able to take it from here. Some things that I've shared. And I have to share with you the Power BI presentation, right? So what I'll do is I'll share that with you as well. This is in training files, all 3 Power BI. Please, I'm open to questions, everyone. Whatever is on your mind, feel free to ask. You can even unmute yourself if you want to. Let's see. Can we know from which sheet these customer names are from? What do you mean when you say sheet? Because these are different years, no? So of course you can do the years, no? Right now we have not done that. See, let me come back to my file. Okay. For example, right now it says top 5 by sales. If you say by order year, one second, as a table. Like this, see, it's telling you year, top 5 customers. So like from which year the top 5 transactions are coming. I believe that is what you were asking for, right? So that works. You just have to add the year here. Great. Yeah, what else? Meanwhile, I'll send this to you because I'll get busy after this, so I don't want to make this pending. Right, so I'm sharing this, and I'm also sharing the link to my YouTube channel where I have over 570 videos on everything related to Excel, PowerPoint, Power BI. Right. So some of these are small videos, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Some of these are long videos as well, which are 1.5 hour, 2 hour lectures. This also I'll share with you. Great. What other questions are there? Can I send the PPT on Zoom as well by attaching the file? Okay. Excellent. What else? So see, Power BI is a very new tool. Like I said, it only came in 2015. And organizations have just started to explore it and start working with it. So I do many trainings, in a month for different companies, which include PSUs and large, small companies, right? So Power BI is a must-have skill, just like learning Excel is a must. Like nobody questions, should you or should you not learn Excel? Of course, you have to learn Excel. The same holds true for Power BI as well, right? Great. Any other questions, anyone? Great. So thank you so much. That would be all from my side. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Any questions that you have and however I can help you, will be more than happy to. Thanks, everyone. All the best.
So we will be sharing vote of thanks with you shortly.
Thank you. Thank you. So I have a meeting, so I'll have to rush, but all the best. And any questions that you have, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
For us all. Thank you.
Thank you.